This is Things You Might Not Have Heard, and I'm Jacob Payne, and I have for you news. Lots of news. News on the weekend, 10 headline stories to give to you that were stories that you deemed as conversational, you deemed worthy to talk about over the weekend. Actually, is a cheat. Technically, it's 13 stories, but we'll get to that when we get to stories in a minute. Of course, we are talking some highlights, including the Saturday Night Live Open, the very, very long cold open. Also, YouTube having some issues with some rights for stuff, and Hoda Kotb, the rest of the story. We'll explain the vetting process at there. We'll go through all the headlines. But first, quick reminder that our website, our home for all the things we do, is at thisisaconversationproject.com. This is theconversationproject.com. More information about the full offerings of the Conversation Project are there. Plus, email us as you will at the conversation inbox at gmail.com. If I haven't said so far, today is Monday, September 30th, almost into the fourth quarter, last day of September, last day to frolic and all those things with that. So let's have some fun into today's stories. No particular order of the stories, just they all kind of came out as they did. And this is how we laid them out here. In fact, it's a little odd as we did the work this morning. We should have organized them a little bit better towards political stuff. There's a lot of political stories peppered in here. They're all peppered all over the place. So, but I think the narrative, the way it reads, will go fine. We start off getting off the bad news off the bat here and the stuff that just needs to be said. We lost 4 big-time stars. We lost probably more than that, but 4 stars kind of popped up in our feeds, and we gave you the chance to engage them, and you engaged with them all. So we make sure that we get some love to all 4 of these people, starting off. And they're not even in the order that they actually passed that we got the news from. We actually passed, first news was from Drake Hogestyn, who was 70 years old, the star of Days of Our Lives, the infamous John Black. Also, Maggie Smith, who's done so many things, it's hard to really quantify, but of course, the kids remember her from Harry Potter movies. Kristofferson, who my mother-in-law was sort of fighting over the actual headlines it had in his death, saying he's not just a country singer, he's an actor, he does this, that, ever, he's an entrepreneur, he does all this stuff. Kristofferson was extremely talented person that did a lot of things and crossed over into so many genres. 88 years old. And John Ashton, who, believe it or not, you may have thought he was doing fine, wasn't doing as great as he was, passing away over the weekend at 76. Maggie Smith, 89. Drake Hogestyn, 70. Kristofferson, 80. And John Ashton, 78. All passing away over the weekend. I want to give them a little bit of love, including especially John Ashton, who was just literally in a movie, the Axel F, the new Beverly Hills Cop movie, that wasn't as bad as I thought it was going to be. It was actually fairly entertaining. It got basically because it got the whole gang back together to do fun stuff again. It was a fun ride. Probably wasn't necessary, but it was a fun ride nonetheless. Thank you so much. Good wishes to all. Safe travel, all those I think go to the great beyond. And we are missing 4 very legendary stars out there from this day on. The stars are much brighter in the sky and much dimmer down here on land. So let's get some actual stars of TV and screen right now. We're talking about the Saturday Night Live cold open and the new season, the 50th season going forward. Now, the reviews for the actual show, not great. Gene Smart was the host. Jelly Roll was the musical guest. Jelly Roll got some pretty good reviews, but Gene Smart basically was outdone by all the extra people that showed up to try to catch up on, 3 months worth of political stuff, including this. Maya Rudolph as Harris and Dana Carvey as Biden opened the 50th season of Saturday Night Live. A cold open that opened up with a check-in for David Muir, played by Andrew Dismukes, after a few months after the debate between Trump and Harris, where Harris brings out her full crew of folks, and then Trump brings out J.D. Vance and does his thing. And even have a little gag about the bulletproof glass that goes away when Trump goes away, and then, Vance doesn't have it. Maya Rudolph returned as Kamala Harris, as expected. Dana Carvey popped into the role of new Joe Biden to kick off Saturday Night Live. And the beginning take of the scene delivered laughs, I guess, the show dedicated its milestone season. It was okay. It was really long. I guess it was a way to kind of introduce the people they expect to play these characters all season long. The 13-minute live open had cameos with Jim Gaffigan as Tim Walz and Andy Samberg as Doug Emhoff, cast members Bowen Yang playing J.D. Vance and James Austin Johnson as Donald Trump. All the guest stars were on the Democratic sides, all the big names, all the big money going to that. And while Bowen Yang actually did a fairly good J.D. Vance, a very good J.D. Vance, the cast members stuck to the Republicans for Donald Trump and for J.D. Vance. We'll see how funny they'll get going forward with their sketches to try to play up the politics and what will happen literally the week of November the 5th after we find out who's going to actually be the president and who will get more airtime, whether it be James Austin Johnson or they're paying that extra money to get that Kamala million from Miss Maya Rudolph. Let's move to the story that's number 3. This one is actually a big deal that you may not have figured out yet, but you're going to figure it out soon because royalties. One thing I always say, and being in the music business or being in the radio business, broadcast business is you don't mess with somebody's royalty. If they don't have the rights to do it, you don't do it because you're going to get sued every time. YouTube is blocking videos from Adele, Green Day, Bob Dylan, and more in dispute with SESAC. Blocking major artists, Adele, Bob Dylan, Green Day, and some other ones, including some you may love, are due to a licensing dispute with SESAC, a performing rights organization. The disagreement stems from YouTube's inability to reach a new agreement with SESAC, resulting in numerous videos becoming unavailable in the U.S. If you can't pay those royalties, you ain't getting to do them because Adele wants her money. Trust me, Adele may seem all sweet and demure, if you will. Adele wants her money. She ain't going to back away from her cheddar. She wants that cheese. She wants it now. Artists, other including such as Kendrick Lamar and Burna Boy, and many that you think you like to hear right now, that you pull up on your YouTube for videos and can't see, can't hear, can't get nothing from them, all a part of this temporary ban because right now there's no deal for the rights to pay these people their money. So once they get their money rights in, you'll get them all back pretty quickly. Because trust me, they all want this to be done. They all want to make money. No one's making money. No one's happy. Adele, she ain't happy. She ain't making money. Make Adele her money. Make her happy now. This one's a very interesting take. Zachary Levi endorses Donald Trump after Robert F. Kennedy Jr. suspends his campaign. Now, work with me for a second. That Zachary Levi, Chuck, if you will, endorsed Donald Trump for the 2024 presidential election after previously supporting Robert F. Kennedy Jr., who, of course, suspended his campaign to support Donald Trump. Levi made the endorsement during a rally in Michigan, expressing support for Trump's vision to take back this country and make it great again. Now, the actual rally did not have Donald Trump. It actually was RFK Jr. and Tulsi Gabbard, who are spokespersons, who are delegates, who are people who speak on behalf of Donald Trump now, the former Democratic person and the former Democratic person, I guess, they're both former Democrats, who are now fighting for our country and saying that the Democrats have lost their minds and they want to do things better with a coalition group that will back Donald Trump. We'll see how that plays out when time comes around. And this surprise appearance marks a shift in Levi's political stance, as he earlier aligned himself with Kennedy Jr.'s candidacy, but now that Kennedy's out, he's got to go with someone, and he's going with who he thinks is the winner, the guy that his guy wants to win. That is Robert Kennedy Jr., his guy, and the guy they're going with, Donald J. Trump. So last week, we wrapped up Friday with Hoda Kotb. Hoda Kotb leaving the Today Show after 5 years as his host and 17 years with NBC. Now, she's not leaving NBC, but she's leaving the Today Show, and she's leaving both the main gig, which is the news stuff, and the drinking wine with Jenna Bush Hager, which we got some coming from Kathy Lee, which are hilarious, if you will. Always loves some jokes from Kathy Lee. Now for the rest of the story. A headline for this story at number 5 this morning. Hoda Kotb decided to leave today after being asked to cut her salary by $20 million per reports. I wasn't in the room, but reports say, because they got to put inks, pixels on these websites and inks on some pages, that they're asked to cut that money. Here's the secret that's not a big secret in news and in daytime news and in morning news. The morning shows run the networks. The morning shows makes the money. People who watch the morning shows are all the real money is made. The rest of the day is sort of filler going on, especially even on cable news shows. The morning shows drive the ratings, drive the money, drive the rad rates. So since morning shows and news itself is not being ingested like it was, news networks, whether the networks or the actual 24/7 cable networks, aren't making the money they were. So they can't throw out big money at people. Hoda Kotb came in to save the Today Show after the Matt Lowry debacle and came in doing just a synergy with Savannah Guthrie, and the two ladies ran that show like clockwork. They're number 2 because they can't beat Strahan and Stephanopoulos and, of course, my girl Robin, but they're not doing bad. but not good enough to keep paying Kobe her money. So she ain't making her money. She ain't happy. You should pay her her money. She's going to stick with NBC. She's not leaving her contract, but if she's making 20 less, she's not getting up at 4 in the morning to show up to put on makeup and hang out with Al. Although Al's nice, Al is lovely, but no, she's not going to do that. The cuts were a big effort across the way. Basically, everybody's going to essentially see a ask to get less money, but Kotb was the first one to basically get that ask, and she decided to decline without leaving the actual company. We shall see what happens going forward on that one. Now, we're going to take a moment to ask you we don't think it's a big ask. We need some help to make sure we are promoting what we're doing here at the Conversation Project. This is our like, share, and subscribe section where it says in the video, like, share, and subscribe. Funny how that works out. We're asking you to like the videos or the audios or the newsletter printings that we're doing out there so that people can see a bit of social engagement that what we're doing is good enough to check out, that we are doing quality work. And if it's quality work, why don't you go ahead and share it with people directly so they can see what we're doing. It's like, you're sharing memes with your spouses and things like that and jokes in your group chat. Share a thing here or there about what we're doing so more people can engage, because the Conversation Project is not just about reading back news to you. We are literally doing stories that you told us are worthy of talking about and giving you the quick bit of headlines plus a bit of perspective into it for folks like me who think the news itself a little bit wacky these days. And make sure you're not missing out on what we're producing. Subscribe. We need the numbers for subscriptions because it means something. We need you to basically look for the things going on. And it's a lot easier to just send it to your inbox, send it to your feed than it is for you to just pop up and hope it show up. Subscribe to us on our various platforms. We're on YouTube. We're on X. We're on Facebook. We're on TikTok. We're on Threads. We also have an email newsletter that gives you just the links to the stories every single day. And we're going to have audio. Wherever your pods are cast, we're probably there. So check us out there. Like, share, and subscribe to what we produce here at the Conversation Project. And you will hopefully help us join in much great conversation with a lot of great folks out there. Back to the news. Our story we have listed for headline number 6 is a bit of a spat for nerds. So if you're a news nerd like me and a election politics nerd like I am, you know these guys. Otherwise, you may not. Nate Silver may know because he did a lot of stuff in sports, but now he's doing stuff mostly for politics and for those type of numbers. And Allan Lichtman, a man who essentially his brag that he's got all the presidential candidates right since like Buchanan, I guess, are nerding out. They're talking back and forth, trading barbs over who they're picking for the election. Right now, it's really too early to call. There's too many things going on, so there's not exactly put a handle on it. But basically, Lichtman is saying is going Democratic way, and I think Silver is saying is more leaning towards Trump based on numbers. He's flip-flopping it back and forth based on electoral college numbers. Right now, Silver says that it's probably going to go Trump's way, and Lichtman says it's probably going Haller's way, which is why they're going back and forth. One is a statistician who basically looks straight at numbers. One's a historian that kind of looks at how things work, and neither one of them really matter. Neither one of them really matter. We will see what happens, who actually wins. It's something fun to talk about, and especially nerds like me to talk about it. But in the real scheme of things, the polls are interesting. They keep you engaged, keep you thinking what's going on, and all the coverage is overly done. In general, the big news is voting is basically starting in many places now or soon where you're going to. And of course, November 5th, the day where all the marbles will be thrown, all the dies will be cast, and we'll know exactly who gets this. Well, this will start. It'll probably take a week to count all these votes, to be honest. It's going to be insane. But we still have nerds, I say that as a nerd, like Silver and Lichtman to basically kick around because they give us something to talk about. They do. Let's go to the Kentucky sheriff who has now pled not guilty in the fatal shooting of the judge in his chambers about 2 weeks ago. Sheriff Sean Mikey Steins has pleaded not guilty to the fatal shooting of District Judge Kevin Mullins. The incident occurred inside Mullins' chamber after a reported argument between the two. In fact, the two basically had a day together, had lunch, did some meetings, and then for some reason had an argument in his chambers, and the sheriff shot the judge dead. Steins has been charged with first-degree murder, and during his first court appearance, he entered a plea and was denied bail. The case has shocked many, given the high-profile nature of the individuals involved in the tragedy. You may think a Kentucky district judge and a sheriff out of a town in Kentucky. May not be high profile, but as soon as this one hit the wires, everybody wanted to know what the hell was going on, and it is what it is. The case itself is shrouded in, we'll call it mystery, but it really just questions on what the hell happened in this case. And as the court case comes about or some sort of plea comes through, we'll find more details on what exactly went down with this. Essentially, the what we have as the rumors, innuendos, and stories is that the judge was harassing certain members of his court staff, and the sheriff essentially was tired of it, and it turned into an altercation, which turned into a shooting. A bit more escalation than it should have been, but we'll see how the story plays out in court findings. Governor Newsom did a thing yesterday. He vetoed the first in-nation AI safety bill. He vetoed a groundbreaking AI safety bill that aimed to establish strict regulations for artificial intelligence. He expressed concerns that the bill could stifle innovation and prompt tech companies to leave California because it's all about the money. The bill, authorized by State Senator Scott Wiener, sought to make California the leader in AI safety measures. While Newsom supported the bill's intent, he argued that its execution would have unintended negative consequences for the state's tech industry. And that's the thing that's sort of propping up these guys and keep things going. There's a lot of money in AI. The money is it's like throwing fluoride in everything these days or whatnot, or now with cilantro or with bacon. It's an additive that makes things worth more for some magical reason, even if it doesn't actually bring anything to the actual table. And Newsom is afraid that if you start holding back on AI, because the AI creators say it's going to kill us, but the people that have to do the holding back are being held back because it's making a lot of money. Newsom is worried that if you kill some of the AI issues, you're going to kill some of the revenue dollars for California. That's there. We're not sure exactly what the bill says. You can read the article and get deeper details on what the article says and what was the intent of both the state senator and the governor to kill this thing. But we don't really know what's going on unless you want to go read the bill. You need to really go read these bills, and they're hard to read sometimes. But essentially, some limitations on what AI could do, could process, could access. And the California governor thinks limitations to money is not where you want to go with this one. Your mileage may vary on that one. TKO agrees to a $375 million settlement in a class action lawsuit brought by former UFC fighters. TKO is a parent company of both UFC and WWE, and they've been dealing out with various issues that are legal and just bad people acting bad. If you saw bits and pieces of the Mr. McMahon documentary this weekend, well, you already probably know what was going on, but that was an interesting twist as they filmed most of this before the big issues with his sexual escapades, and the lawsuits came out that pushed him off of the board and pushed him out of his company. UFC had the same issue where they had some class action lawsuits with some former fighters, basically guys like Kong Lee, Nate Quarry, and John Fitch, alleged that UFC abused its market power by limiting their competition and controlling fighter contracts. Essentially, they couldn't fight for other people because the money wasn't there, or they blacklisted and pushed the folks not to offer them contracts. This was filed back in 2014, so the settlement was going back when UFC was on its own. But now that it was bought out by the larger company and has larger coffers and more people to work with it, TKO wants nothing to do with this. So they settled this case so the firefighters' claim of unfair business practices from the promotion company can go away. And now they are mostly gone. People will still believe that UFC has issues, current issues and issues from the past, but we will see how many people will stand up for the fighters or stand up for the company as it continues on. And standing up for terribleness, badness, and setting records in the process, I had to find a picture that wasn't the picture of the Chicago White Sox cheering, because all the pictures they had online are there, like you hitting home runs and cheering and then clapping hands and doing good stuff. But this was the best I could do. The White Sox basically in the dugout, just looking over at some board play, just because it's just a random play. But we had to set the scene for their record-breaking losing season of 121 wins. The most lost in modern baseball MLB history. The record is now set. Hard record to beat. We'll see what happens. History by setting this modern MLB record for the most losses in the season, and that is 121 defeats. And they're not quite done yet. There's still a few games left to play. Milestone was reached after a 4-1 loss to Detroit Tigers, giving White Sox a 39-121 record, which is bad. This surpassed a previous modern day era record, which was set in 1962. No one's been this bad for literally 60 years. It's been that bad. And that loss was, of course, 120 losses that season for the Mets. The White Sox disaster season marks one of the worst performances in Major League history in baseball since the 1900s. Obviously, the worst losing season since 62, and it ain't no going back. Next year, they can only get better. Well, actually, they could probably lose another 2 games or so, make it worse. But we'll see what happens for the White Sox and all going on as the playoffs. It's October. Tomorrow's October. Playoff baseball begins very, very soon. We'll see who's actually in. The Braves are fighting their ways to get into it. So my mom is, cheering them on to see them make it. I don't know what my grandma will do if they don't make it, because basically her life revolves around Braves baseball. I thought Bobby Cox is going to be my step grandfather at some point in time. It was that serious. Baseball starts to get important, starts to get heavy, starts to get where people are paying attention in October, literally tomorrow. Let's go to our teaser story for the day. This is a story that we can chat up tomorrow. If you deem it conversational, if you say the story is good enough to chat up, we'll chat it up. And you just do this by going to our feeds on Facebook, X, and of course on Threads, which we do check out. It doesn't really move the needle very much, but we check it out because it's cute. Threads.net/@thisisconversation, x.com/th_conversation, and facebook.com/thisisconversation project. What do you get at these places? Every 50 minutes or so, we post news articles, news headlines from various places that you get a chance to engage in. You tell us the stories that you like. Now, we may post it from a source you don't like, so you may give us a scrunchy mad face, or maybe a source you like, but not exactly a really interesting story, so you may pass it on. We literally take the headlines from you to take the headlines to this storytelling thing here. The top 10 stories, or the 10 stories you had this morning, from the top 30 stories or so we had in the weekend's listing, about 90 stories from Friday, early Monday. The rest of the week, 8 stories a day from the top 15 or so, from 30 or so stories for a day, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday. So you tell us what stories are going on. And here's a story that is interesting. I want to get deeper into it, but you've got to tell me it's worthy to chat it up. As Norway is mulling building a fence on its border with Russia, following Finland's example. Essentially, Donald Trump was right, and walls do help, even though his wall was to keep migrants out, and this wall is to keep the Russians from attacking, I guess. So they're not exactly the same sort of psychic bonding for why it's there. But Finland is basically building a wall on its border with Russia, or a fence, they're calling it. And Norway may do the same thing. You want to go deeper in this one, you let me know by engaging in the story. Like it, love it, hate it, share it, give it comments, just engage in the story as you see it in your feeds. On Friday, we posted a story on X requesting to be reinstated in Brazil after X decided, or SpaceX decided, to kill the satellite feeds and stop beaming X, by pirate satellite into the nation. But X wants to get back into the phones of people legally, and that was all out there. We didn't talk that one up. It was a pretty big one, but essentially the 4 deaths we talk about essentially wiped out any hope of getting that in there, because we want to make sure we gave the love to the 4 departed for this weekend. So that's what happened in there. There is your designation. If you want more about the story on Norway building a fence, you just have to let me know. Now let's talk about our sponsor for today. We're talking about Robinhood, because this week might be a good time for you to check your money. It's always a good time to check your money, but this might be the week, as the market's been up and down, to kind of take a good look at how the market's working and what it can do for you. And you can do it on your own with Robinhood. Now, remember, all investments have risk. Some of them make no money. Some of them turn out to be very, very bad. And you, as a person using the Robinhood app, are hitting the buttons and choosing the stocks, choosing the EFTs, choosing the securities you're buying on your own. So do plenty of research. Don't just listen to every Yahoo on TV. Don't listen to Kramer, because Kramer's usually wrong, oddly enough. He's entertaining, but he's wrong. But you can get a chance to do more with your money and do more with the brand new activities that they have at Robinhood, including their new Robinhood Gold, which will give you even more access to more tools and a great way to save more money in the process. So if you're underbanked and underinvested, Robinhood can get you started. You pick your own stocks. You don't have to pay for full stocks. You can pay for incremental stocks and have all the big trades, all the big fees, all the big tools. You can short stocks. You can do all this stuff with Robinhood on your own. Remember, this is you on your own. And with Robinhood, they still give you a free stock if you're a brand new subscriber. So check that out. One stock, one share of stock for free is pretty good. Now, to get this great deal and help us out in the process, we ask you to go to our link at our website. This is theconversationproject.com/Robinhood. This is theconversationproject.com/Robinhood. What this is an affiliate link for us. We get a little clicky code and it tells Robinhood that you came in through our door, we opened the door for you, and we get a small commission when you do go to Robinhood. Now may be the great time to check out your numbers, check out your money, check out your finances, and move some things around. Now, it's a way for you to control it on your own, brokerage fees and costs, and that's a great thing. But remember, investments always have a chance of risk, and they may not make any money. So you're on your own on what you pick, but you can make some great decisions on your own and do it independently with your own research using Robinhood as the app to facilitate these things. Let's talk about us very quickly, going to the promotion section of the show where we talk about the Conversation Project. Conversation Project lives online at conversationproject.com, our online home, where we ask you to check us out every so often at our online home. You can find replays of the shows, replays of the videos, and links to other things we do that are pretty interesting. We do news. Conversation Project does newsy stuff and entertainment stuff and things that are in the know. And in a few moments, we're going to get to things you might ought to know, which are fun stuff, not news, but, the birthdays and the day and the history and stuff like that goes along with that. A separate show to make things more pithy. But check out what we do as our main bread and butter to give you news stories that may have gotten missed in your main news feeds and a bit of commentary and a chance to talk about them in conversation. We also ask you to help us out by checking out our sponsors page. All the sponsors are affiliate sponsors. So if you buy from them, we get a small commission. We also ask you may want to consider being a partner. Partners directly fund and directly input what goes on for the Conversation Project. So if you want to have your say, you can do that. Yesterday, we produced the insight video that we do every week for the partners, and we did it and because I did it special because of my birthday, and I was kind of sad and depressed, but want to kind of let people know what's going on, and it got very little response because probably it was sad and depressing. But you get more insights of what's going on behind the scenes. So if you're a real true news nerd and want to know how the sausage is made, you can literally get it from me every week as I give you details moving forward. Some days less sad than others, although these days there's a whole lot of sad, which is kind of sad, but it is what we have to work with. So we do our best to work with all that we have to give. For that, we've worked with 10 news stories that came out from the weekend that I thought you would be interested in, and hopefully you are. Email me at theconversationinbox@gmail.com. Let me know if I picked the right stories or the wrong stories that you saw the weekend. Maybe one you actually engaged in, or maybe one you thought we should have actually put out there because you didn't see it over the feeds. If you enjoy us, like, share, and subscribe so more people can enjoy us as well. And of course, we ask, consider being a partner and consider checking out our sponsors as well. The most important thing you can do is, of course, following us on those feeds on Facebook and on X so that you can help us see what stories to talk about. You make the rundown sheet. You give us a story to pick. You do it every single day. And for this day, this Monday, we're wrapping up, getting it done in near record time. So we're going to, take that getting out of here. Love you guys. Mean it. Stick around for a few minutes because we're going to turn this thing around and give you things you might ought to know. These are the fun things, including birthdays and a celebration for the day. Good times, of course. And just remember, I love you. I mean it so much. And be with us here tomorrow for more news stuff. Because you want a quick jump to the news, we got it for you. Check us out tomorrow.